This video is directed mainly to ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, since it's pertaining to the Watchtower joining the United Nations. I've made several videos on this because I believe that right now it's the most important message that Jehovah's Witnesses can hear. First, because the Watchtower has long called the United Nations the disgusting thing mentioned at Matthew chapter 24 verse 15 and the seven-headed wild beast in Revelation. So, and they've called all churches that have praised the UN harlots because they accepted and held man's government and man's attempt to bring worldwide peace over God's kingdom. So it's very hypocritical for the Watchtower to join the UN even as a non-governmental organization, because a non-governmental organization, all that means is they're not a government. It's no biggie. It doesn't mean that they were not tied into its charter and its governmental aspirations. They were. When you join as an NGO, you are supposed to support the UN Charter and tell people you have influence over about the United Nations, which is what the Watchtower did in the Awake magazine, telling about all sorts of things that the United Nations were doing in the world and about the human rights. And anyway, you know, like I said, this is directed toward ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, so y'all already know these things. So I think we should get this message to witnesses. And I've been thinking about the best way to do it. And I don't know the best way. But I decided to start going on Sunday to the Kingdom Hall, to the Watchtower meeting, and raising my hand and giving a comment. And somehow tying that comment into the Watchtower joining the United Nations. So the first time I went, they were talking about, I think it was something about hating lawlessness, was the Watchtower article, something like that. And I found a paragraph that was talking about certain things that Christians conscious decisions, like should they work at a church if their boss wanted them to do construction work at a church or plumbing or whatever, and had a picture of a witness in front of a church about to do some work. In the paragraph it said some things are plainly against scriptural principles, and most Christians follow the direction of the faithful and discreet slave on these issues. So I thought, what a perfect place to make a comment. So I raised my hand. I'm like, yeah, certain things are plainly against scriptural principles. Like, for instance, joining the United Nations as an NGO. I said, what many of us don't know, though, is that the Watchtower joined the United Nations as an NGO from 1991 to 1992. I said, and they may have reasoned that joining would help the preaching work in other areas. They may have saw it as something that may have been good, but at the same time they knew that it was not scripturally right, or they may have thought it is scripturally right, but as long as we don't let Jehovah's Witnesses know in general, then it won't hurt their conscience because they won't see it. It won't be stumbling, because it said you got to think, in the paragraph it said you got to think if your actions would stumble others. So anyway, at that particular hall, strangely enough, the elder said, good comment, and he said, yeah, that was a time of testing and sifting. Later on, he came to my house later on to show me that they already knew that. And he was talking about what happened in 1914 when a lot of the Bible students left the movement back then, and Brother Rutherford went to jail, to the prison actually, to the Atlanta Penitentiary. And it had nothing to do with the 1991-2001 UN thing. He just, I don't know, I think he got nervous up there and it was like he couldn't even hear what I was saying or something. So I plainly told him what I was talking about and things changed. So I went to a neighboring kingdom. It's actually a double kingdom hall. I went to the kingdom hall beside it. And there's a bunch of different congregations that go to each kingdom hall. And the next week they were talking about, I don't remember exactly. I think I came in a little bit late. But it was kind of talking about entertainment and stuff like that. And watching out for snares of the devil. And it showed a picture of a witness looking at pornography, and his wife was in her bed and he was looking over real guilty at his wife, like, I hope she don't catch me. And she looked like she was wondering what he was doing. So I raised my hand and he answered, called on me. And I said, the guy here in this picture is looking at pornography, and he knows that if his wife sees him doing this, catches him, he's going to have an argument on his hands, and his wife is going to question his faithfulness to him. I said, it makes me think of the the Watchtower, and how they joined the United Nations as an NGO from 1991 to 1992, and they know if Jehovah's Witnesses were to find out about this, then they might start questioning the governing body and seeing their hypocrisy. They actually cut the mic off when I said that, but that was it. I talked to them later. I talked to a couple of people later. They said they'd come by my house, but they didn't. And one of them actually knew about it, but they didn't have a lot of details. They probably just believed the letter that the governing body sent, and that was the end of it. They listened to their little library card excuse, which is misleading, and they didn't look into it further. So that's our responsibility, to help these help Jehovah's Witnesses look into it further. Because like I said at the meeting, it's true. If witnesses find out about it, then they're going to question the governing body. And isn't that what needs to happen if they're going to be set free? It's the men giving them this fear of looking into any other details, controlling their faith, that is the problem in this religion. Of course, there's other religions that there's a similar problem, but this one's very restrictive because they say you can't even talk to people who leave and who disagree. So, that's what I think we should do, is point to the governing bodies, or the Watchtowers joining the UN. It's something that Jehovah's Witnesses do not know about. Some elders know about it, because I've talked to a couple that know about it.